Yeah, who did yours? I had orthopedic, Israel orthopedic, Ursus.
You said smoke signals from your house.
You ready? Let's call the order of the Plan Commission for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Broderick?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Fiding? Here. Mr. Kella?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Orlando?
Here.
Mr. Rusinellis?
Here. Okay, ready for the first case?
Okay. Yeah, the first item, Mr. Chairman, is approval of the minutes from the August 16th and also the August 28th meetings.
Do you want to approve them both at the same time?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Ms. Fiding?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Mr. Rusinellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is citizens to be heard on agenda items. There is a 4-minute time limit. Citizens to be heard on agenda items.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Balderman. I'm the superintendent of Union School District 81, which is at the corner of Spencer and Cherry Hill Road in Joliet. On the agenda tonight, you're going to have a plan brought forward, an annexation for a site at the southeast corner of Cherry Hill and Spencer
Straight to the addendum.
for an industrial development. As the superintendent of the school, I also wear another hat, so I'm familiar how zoning works and whatnot. And we understand the zoning that's been planned in that area for several years. And so it's not necessarily that we feel that we have an objection to what would be proposed for that site. Our concern is, of course, having a school, our kitty corner from there, and the safety of our students, as well as the quality of education for our students when it comes to sound and whatnot. So what we are asking, and I'm feeling from the petitioner, should not be a problem. I have assurances from them that they will work with the school in trying to mitigate any safety concerns that we would have, any sound concerns that we might have, traffic concerns that we might have. I just wanted to be on the record to state that although we understand this type of development most likely will move forward, we are concerned about truck traffic in the area. We just want to make sure that the school has a seat at the table, that before anything is ultimately approved by the city council, that the petitioner sits with the school and works on those issues that I stated. We're confident that they will, but I just wanted to be on the record for that. Okay?
All right, thank you.
very much for your time.
Hello, I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to bring this up, but I'm going to go for it. I do appreciate Mayor Balderman's comments on mitigating sound, traffic, and for the quality education at Union School District. But I'd like to extend that also to the residents of that area on Briggs Street, Spencer Road, Cherry Hill. Recently, Estes Truck Terminal opened up at 52 and Laraway. There is a proposal for Love's Travel Center at I-80 in Briggs. There was a 75-acre approval expansion for the Cherry Hill Business Park. And the truck routes, from what I can see, are going to be either east on Spencer Road towards Gauger, and then hitting I-80 at Route 30, or traveling west on Spencer Road to Briggs Street and then taking Briggs Street to I-80. The concerns that I have is the public safety issue, is that there's also already a backup of traffic. There are many semi-trucks, even Amazon Prime semi-trucks traveling Briggs Street to Laraway. We don't know where the Love's Travel Stop will stand. That will be voted on October 2nd, as you know. But we were able to look up not only, I not only have the issue of the traffic on Briggs Street, we also had the opportunity to look up the bridge inspection report for I-80, the Briggs Street overpass, and I have copies. Would you mind if I handed them out?
Okay, but before that, you need to give your name and address.
My name is Margie Sepon at 1114 Wood Iris Drive in Joliet, Illinois.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Mhm.
I approach?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you.
And in looking at this report, now I am not a bridge inspector whatsoever, but just in looking at this report, I have to give some background. This bridge was inspected in 2014, and I didn't bring the 2014 actual report, and the superstructure rating on the 2014 bridge inspection was a 4. In 2016 December, that bridge was inspected once again, and it had deteriorated to a 2. That caused IDOT to start inspecting that bridge every year. They inspected it in December of 2016, and they inspected it in December of 2017. And the next inspection date is scheduled for December of 2018. So my concern is that if the bridge deteriorated, the superstructure deteriorated from a 4 to a 2 in 2 years, from 2014 to 2016, truck traffic has only increased. I know that the city had a press release in November of 2017 stating that IDOT deemed the bridge structurally deficient. So there's a weight restriction on that bridge. I'm just concerned, and I know people living in that area are very concerned of any further deterioration. And we did speak with IDOT. IDOT mentioned that Briggs Street is scheduled to be replaced in their 6-year plan. Their 6-year plan has started, but at the end of their 6-year plan, pending transportation funding. So what alarms many of us are the remarks, the strong language that's indicated here. For the superstructure, it says critical condition may require closure. And then in the structural evaluation, it says intolerable, high priority for replacement. So we're not against the growth. We need the infrastructure. It's about public safety. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have no items under old business public hearing. Under old business, no public hearing. The first item is 8. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I'm
Mr.
very
Jackson. Sorry. Keith Landovitz, 23525 South Vetter Road in Shanahan Township. And I'd like please to offer some comments concerning A618. So first, just some context for some specific points or questions I'd like to raise.
The Center Point development, as you can imagine, has had momentous consequences for people such as my wife and me who live in the area. So I think the overall intent, as I understand it, of the proposed amendment to the annexation agreement is simply to prolong the time for some of the developments that agreement anticipates to unfold. I don't think I've ever had a situation in my life where, faced with maybe very big decisions and big consequences, I've regretted having a little more time to just kind of work things out. So as somebody who lives in the area and is very much affected by the things that the agreement calls for, I'm certainly very much in favor of prolonging the time to execute all the improvements that the agreement calls for. But I do have some questions or concerns about it. First, I think I'm not even sure at this point what the agreement itself says. I understand that the current petition is for the 6th Amendment to the agreement, and the text that I've seen in the staff report is the text of the proposed changes to the language of the agreement. I haven't seen what anyone believes is the agreement as it would be amended by the 6 amendments. I haven't even seen exactly what amendments 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 are. I think 4 I was able to find. That was the one in 2012 that extended the original agreement for another 5 years through 2017. So, and I've tried to reconstruct that both from the city's ordinances and from what's been recorded as far as either agreements or ordinances affecting any of the parcels that have already been annexed. And I just can't make it work. And that may be due to deficiencies on my part, but if it were possible to have the petitioner or someone prepare a version of the agreement as it would be with all the amendments in effect, I think that would be very helpful to all parties concerned. Also, concerning the improvements themselves, I have not been able to get any kind of engineering detail about what is actually happening on any of those roads. And of course, I'm particularly interested in Vetter Road, which is where my wife and I live. Those improvements have started. Actually, they started a few years ago with improvements at the south end of the road. Recently, there have been drainage and utility improvements on the north end of the road. And it would be really helpful, I think, particularly for those of us facing decisions about, what life on the road will be like in the future. It would be really helpful to know exactly what's planned. I've had in the past many fruitful discussions with members of the planning and zoning staff, and I'm always grateful for their assistance has always been most gracious. But when it comes to actually things like the engineering of the roads or where utility poles are being placed or, things of that nature, I've never been able to get any detail. So it would be very helpful to have that at some point as this goes forward. And then just a couple of other things concerning, and these are really not concerning necessarily the text of the agreement itself, but the way the consequences of this agreement will affect us have changed a lot, have evolved a lot over the course of the Centerpoint project, which has been going on for about 10 or 11 years now. The original agreement included as appendices or annexes I believe a traffic concept plan, as well as specific language about what the roads would be like, calling, for example, for Vetter Road, where I live, would be widened to 3 lanes. I don't know if that's currently the plan with the Hobart Road Bridge, which is supposed to connect to Vetter Road. I imagine that the traffic patterns and traffic counts in the area would be very different from what was originally anticipated when Vetter really didn't have any major connections. So I don't know that it's necessary to update those things in the annexation agreement, but I have to sort of make note of them in the public record of this, because they do have very big consequences for those of us who live there. In terms of traffic counts, the only hard, know if I should even call this hard, but the only projection I've seen was from a press release from Governor Rauner's office in July 2016 that said there would be initially, I think, 11,000 vehicles per day using the Hobart Road Bridge. Now, I don't know how much of that is coming off Vetter versus coming off Schweitzer, which would be a 90-degree turn. But the concept plan, if you imagine, Vetter Road as the feed-in to the bridge, and as the extension from both the Elwood and Joliet intermodals, I would imagine that a good part of that traffic would be on Vetter Road. So that was, I think, 11,000 vehicles initially projected to go up to 30,000 by the year 2040. So again, I just think that needs to be part of the record because that has very big consequences for people in the area. Finally, just as a small procedural point, I think in terms of notice of business like this, petitions or other other developments in the area, it would be helpful. There are fewer and fewer of us living in the area, but it would be helpful to ensure that everyone gets notice. As it turned out, the 600-foot notice requirement, which I realize is even an extension of what the city usually requires, did exclude a couple of the homeowners on Vetter Road, just because of how, if you drew 600 feet from all the properties already in the city, well, some of the people living in the middle of the road are far enough away that they wouldn't be included. I know in other contexts we've had arrangements with the petitioner with Centerpoint whereby they maintain a list of people still living in the area and will provide notice of meetings and other kinds of business that affects us. So it would be helpful if that could be used for notice of business like this. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Major. I live at 1702 Hillcrest Road in Joliet. Before your meeting here, I just happened to notice, and we walked in on the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, and one of the petitions was for a staffing agency or a temporary agency on Collins Street. And Chairman Hennessy was kind of lamenting how more and more people are coming up before the Zoning Board of Appeals to get permission to open staffing agencies, and kind of how it's almost like when the mattress stores and the gold stores were on every corner. Nobody's opposed to growth. I mean, we understand that jobs need to be created, but if you're lamenting all the staffing agencies popping up in town, then maybe that should tell you something about the number of warehouses that are being approved and so quickly and without any forethought as to what kind of city you want to have. Do you want to be known as the warehouse capital of the world, where the only jobs the citizens can get who remain are temp jobs through a staffing agency? That doesn't seem like that's a very good reputation to have as a city. As I said, people want growth, but they want affordable jobs that they can afford things. They don't want to be forced out by so much truck traffic. My parents live on Davison Street, which runs between Mills Road and I-80 on the south. There's so many trucks going through those intersections now that it's almost impossible to get out of their one street subdivision. If you add another 100 acres of warehouses, 1.5 million square feet of warehouses, it's just going to be worse. There's nowhere for those trucks to go except to Gauger Road or to Briggs Street. You just approved 75 acres across from Union School. Those warehouses haven't even been built yet as far as I know. So you don't know what kind of truck traffic that area is going to bring. So I'm asking you at least consider, I'm not saying stop all of the warehouse approvals, but maybe slow down a little bit and let the traffic catch up to the warehouses that are already there, the warehousing that's already going to be built there, and see what kind of traffic issues we run into. I mean, it's pretty bad now, and if you don't improve the infrastructure, as the woman before me spoke, that bridge, that's a problem at I-80. The Brick Street itself was never designed for the kind of truck traffic it carries now. It's a 2-lane road between I-80 and Mills Road. I hear there's supposed to be some improvements, but even so, you have so much truck traffic that's going to be generated from these developments that you really need to consider slowing down and letting the infrastructure catch up before you keep approving more of these. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional citizen comment on agenda items? All right, Mr. Chairman, our first item under old business, no public hearing, is A-6-18, and that is the Sixth Amendment to the Annexation Agreement for CenterPoint Intermodal Center at Joliet Subdivision. The applicants in this matter are CenterPoint Joliet Terminal Railroad, LLC, and CenterPoint Properties Trust. They are the owner. Requested action, amendment to an annexation agreement to update road completion schedules and the concept plan. Existing zoning is IT, and that's our intermodal terminal zoning. Location is CenterPoint Way. Size is 3,460 plus acres. Existing land use, intermodal transportation and industrial business park facilities. Surrounding land use and zoning. To the north is agricultural, residential, and industrial uses. We have some unincorporated parcels in Will County and other parcels that are within the city and zoned I-1 light industrial. To the south is the Joliet Arsenal and agricultural and industrial uses. Again, some unincorporated Will County parcels, as well as the village of Elwood. To the east is agricultural, residential, and industrial uses, some unincorporated Will County parcels, some city I-1 light industry parcels, and some city R1B single-family residential properties. To the west is agricultural, residential, and industrial uses, and that's comprised of some unincorporated Will County parcels, as well as city I-1 and city I-2. And the I-2 is our general industrial zoning. Under site history, in 2008, the Mayor and City Council approved the annexation, classification, or reclassification, annexation agreement, and concept plan for the approximate 3,300 acre plus development, which included approximately 14 to 18 million square feet of distribution center space and a railroad terminal. In December of that year, the Mayor and City Council approved the preliminary, final, and recording plats of CenterPoint Intermodal Center at Joliet Phase 1, which included one lot at 253 acres. Since that time, CenterPoint has petitioned for many requests, heard and approved by the Plan Commission and the Mayor and City Council for the intermodal facility and surrounding industrial park development. Under special information, as part of the original annexation agreement, there were certain deadlines included for the completion of surrounding road improvements within and around the CenterPoint Intermodal Park. Due to largely a revised development timeline around these areas, the original deadlines are no longer valid and need to be modified to new deadlines as a result. The city's public works and the city's utilities departments are in favor of these revisions as outlined below, and that is the South Brandon Road improvements, the South Central Brandon Road improvements, the North Central Brandon Road improvements, and the Vetter Road improvements. In addition, a revised concept plan has been submitted in order to include all of the CenterPoint holdings and recent annexation and zoning approvals, and that concludes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May we have the petitioner on this, please? Please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Michael Hanson, attorney representing CenterPoint Properties. We do agree with the staff report. And by the way, I will be able to provide Mr. Lanovis with copies of all the documents that he has requested.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, then a motion's in order for A-6-18.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Fining?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Kellogg?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next item on our agenda under old business, no public hearing, a series of actions are requested. The first being P-7-18, and that's the preliminary plat of Elliott subdivision. Z-9-18, reclassification of 3 parcels at 404 and 406 Clay Street and 411 through 413 East Jackson Street from R2 single-family residential zoning to B3 general business zoning. And finally, V-5-18, and that would be the vacation of a 10-foot wide and 16-foot wide portions of a alley near 408 Collins Street. The applicant in all of these matters is BSTP Midwest LLC. They are the contract purchaser. The owners are Gregory Bolin, Amandor and Eldamara Jimenez, and Octavio and Martina Cardenas. The requested action is approval of a preliminary plat of subdivision for 1 lot, approval of zoning reclassifications for 3 parcels, and from R2 single-family residential to B3 general business district, and approval of an alley vacation. The purpose is to consolidate 5 parcels of land into 1 parcel for a future gas station. The location is the northeast corner of Collins Street and Jackson Street, comprising 1.36 acres, and the proposed alley vacation comprises 4,343 square feet. Existing zoning is B3, and that's our general business zoning, and R2, which is single-family residential. The entire parcel would be proposed for B3 general business zoning. Existing land use, there's vacant land, as well as 2 circa 1910 single-family houses, 1 circa 1851 3-unit house. Surrounding zoning and land use to the north, we have B3 general business zoning and R2 single-family zoning with both vacant land and residential uses. To the south is B3 general business and B1, which is our neighborhood business zoning. There is an existing gas station as well as residential uses. To the east is R2 single-family residential. To the west is B1 neighborhood business with both commercial and residential uses. Under site history, the Plan Commission tabled action on these 3 requests at their August 2018 meeting at the request of the petitioner. Under site history, variations pertaining to the redevelopment of this site were heard by the Zoning Board of Appeals at their meeting earlier this afternoon. And that would be a major street setback from 80 feet to 77.8 feet, a rear yard setback from 25 to 15.6 feet, as well as automobile service station setback from 100 feet from a public or institutional use to 63 feet. Under special information, BSTP Midwest LLC is the contract purchaser and is requesting these approvals in order to develop a future gas station that will have a 4,400 square feet convenience store with parking for 23 vehicles and a 5,360 square foot canopy that can accommodate the fueling of 20 vehicles. Access into the gas station will consist of right in, right out, ingress, egress along Jackson Street and Collins Street, and a full access along East Clay Street. A conceptual site plan was attached in your packets. The 2 parcels with frontage along Collins Street have been vacant for many years in our Zone B3 general business. The residential properties are all zoned R2, single-family residential, and would be reclassified to B3. The proposed B3 zoning request is consistent with the surrounding zoning and land uses along Collins Street. Approval of the proposed vacation of alley right-of-way will allow for the future redevelopment of the site. The proposed vacation of this alley will eliminate through alley traffic and result in a dead-end alley for the 9 remaining homes with alley access and 1 church. Public Works and Public Utilities departments are not opposed to the vacation request. ComEd is working with the applicant to determine if their facilities are within the proposed area to be vacated and will request that an easement be retained if this is found to be the case. AT&T has facilities in this area and request an easement. As of the writing of this staff report, there have been no other objections from any other utility companies to the requested alley vacation. City water and sewer are in the area. The property will be required to connect to city utilities at time of the development. The plat conforms to the city's subdivision regulations as reviewed by our planning staff. Public Works requested revisions to the plat regarding storm detention, outfall, and storm sewer location. Final Public Works approval is pending, subject to these revisions. Access into the gas station will consist of right-in, right-out, ingress-egress along Jackson Street and Collins Street, and a full access along East Clay Street. Because the proposed development has frontage on two state highways, being State Route 171 and US Route 6, IDOT has reviewed site plans in addition to the city's Department of Public Works. A full copy of the traffic impact study is available. The exterior of the proposed buildings will have to meet the city's non-residential design standards, which require the use of 100% masonry materials on the exterior of the facade, and landscaping will need to be installed that meets the requirements of the city's landscape and screening ordinance. The developer has agreed to wrap the piers of the canopy in masonry that matches the convenience store. City staff is working with the applicant on the design of the two proposed ground signs. The developer and its representatives held a neighborhood meeting on August 2nd at the Joliet Library, and that would be the downtown branch, to discuss the project and answer questions. We are told that approximately 10 people were in attendance. The attorney representing the project has also attended the city's historic preservation meeting, and that was in August, to answer questions and discuss findings of the historic assessment of the buildings. At this meeting, the commission requested that the developer work with city staff to explore relocation options for the circa 1851 two-story limestone building. The commission has also requested that the developer complete a historic resource survey inventory form on the building and donate the limestone to the city should the building be demolished. The city owns vacant property approximately 3 blocks to the east, which is large enough to accommodate the building. City staff is in the process of obtaining cost information. Other costs would include foundation, bringing the property above the flood elevation, architectural and surveying fees, and connection fees. And that concludes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May we have the petitioner on this, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Michael Hansen here on behalf of the applicant. Also present is Mr. Michael McKinnon, Vice President of BTS, the applicant as well. Here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have one question. What are the hours of operation for the Thornton gas station?
Same hours as we're going to have, at the other Thorntons here in town.
Well, what are the same hours? I don't,
24 hours.
Was it a 24-hour operation? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Hanson?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any data provided by the developer with working with staff to explore relocation options?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean of the building?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, we're in the process of discussion right now with the city.
Okay. Any update, Mr. Hanson, likelihood that it will be relocated or possibly relocated? I know
We've had a lot of intense discussions, and they continue, and they'll continue all the way up until mid-October when it goes to the city council. So it's kind of a large undertaking, but
Sure.
We're seeing some movement toward that.
Movement
in the right direction, but we'll have to wait and see. There's still a lot of unanswered questions.
And I respect it. I just wanted to get your perspective on it. Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Would the service station or the applicant be paying for a lot of the movement or anything like that, if that's what they come up with?
That would be the plan.
Okay.
That's the proposal.
And I got one other question, the easements and stuff like this from ComEd and stuff like that, would that be causing any difficulties with the people living in the area?
No, we're working with ComEd right now to ensure that everyone's going to get taken care of in that regard.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none, then a motion's in order for E-7-18, Z-918, and V-518.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Mr. Roosnellis?
Aye.
Mr. Broderick?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Ms. Biding?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, the next component of the agenda is new business public hearing. And our first item in this category is A-20-18. And that is the annexation of 101 acres at the southeast corner of Spencer Road and Cherry Hill Road, classification to I-1 light industrial zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. Also, we have a request for P-11-18, and that is the preliminary plat of Corridor 80 subdivision. The applicant in this matter is Exeter Spencer Land, LLC. Status of the applicant is the contract purchaser. Owners, Wayne, Gary, Richard, and Robert Fritz, and Diane Torde. Requested action, annexation, classification to I-1 zoning, approval of an annexation agreement, and approval of a preliminary plat of subdivision to develop an industrial subdivision for 2 warehouse buildings. Existing zoning is A1, and that is unincorporated Will County agriculture. Proposed zoning is I-1, City of Joliet light industrial. Location, southeast corner of Cherry Hill Road and Spencer Road. Again, the size of the development would be 101.4 acres. Existing land use currently is under agricultural production. Surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is industrial, I-1 zoning, that's city. To the south is undeveloped, unincorporated Will County. To the east is undeveloped, unincorporated Will County. To the west is industrial and forest preserve with R1B and I-1 zoning. Under site history, we could find no previous cases. Special information, the preliminary plat of Corridor 80 subdivision is proposing a 5-lot subdivision in order to allow for a future industrial development, which would construct 2 warehouse buildings. Lot 1 includes 15.3 acres and could include a 292,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility. Lot 2 includes 49.6 acres and could accommodate a 802,000 square foot warehouse distribution building. Lot 3 includes 17.2 acres and could accommodate the future expansion of Lot 2 for an additional 457,000 square feet. Lot 3 is not buildable and will include a conservation easement to protect the existing Sugar Run Creek. Lot 4 will include the stormwater detention pond for the industrial park that will need to include wetland and native plantings. A future final plat will be required to allow for the development of the proposed subdivision. The requested I-1 zoning, and again, that's light industry, is consistent for this location and is in compliance with the city's previously approved Southside Comprehensive Plan. All public improvements, sewer and water connection fees, the East Side Sewer Treatment Plant surcharge, and the developer's impact fee will be required. Detachment fees have previously been paid for the New Lenox Township Library and Fire Districts. Landscaping will be required as per city ordinance and will include 30-foot wide berms along the north and west property lines. A half road improvement is being required for Cherry Hill Road, and a full road improvement is being required for Spencer Road. The developer can create a recapture agreement for the north half of Spencer Road against the development to the north. Water and sewer connections are available in mains located in Cherry Hill Road. And that concludes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May we have the petitioner, please? Please state your name and address.
I will. Mr. Chairman, I'm George Mahoney, and I'm here representing Exeter Property Development Group. And I wonder if I could give to your colleagues on the commission some maps that I'll be referring to this afternoon.
If you would, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant today is the third largest industrial building company dealing with investment and development in the United States, and the fifth largest in the world, with offices located throughout the United States as well as throughout the world. And the sole member who is the applicant in this instance, the Exeter Spencer Group, is in fact Exeter Property Development Group corporate office. The project is led by Tom Theobald, who's here today, along with our project engineer Jason Wiesbrook and Eric Russell of KOA, who did the traffic studies for this project. Also here are the property owners, Wayne Fritz and Robert Fritz, whose family has been farming in this area for, I think it's 137 years. As you're aware, the city of Joliet in 2007 adopted a comprehensive plan for the south side of Joliet. And it occurred in this room on March 6, 2007, after much study, much conversation with and hearings with area residents and the public at large, and it was guided by the city staff with help of civil engineers, transportation engineers, and environmental engineers. And they all participated. It culminated in public hearings and a determination by the city of Joliet and the mayor to approve it and designate this property in 2007 for industrial use. And the city has been faithful to that development, has been faithful to that use, because as you'll note and as you'll see on the attached that I've given you, this land has been developed as the Cherry Hill Industrial Park and other, or business park and other industrial developments in the area. And in fact, if you're there today, you'll see the development of property just north of this site in the Cherry Hill Business Park along Cherry Hill Road. And so the city has been faithful with this development and this type of development in this area. And this 101 acre tract, proximate to city utilities, proximate to industrial uses, is also identical and consistent with what the city has already approved. And not only has the city of Joliet designated this area for industrial use, but also its adjoining neighbor, the village of New Lenox. Because as the handout that I gave you reflects, and it's the staple document that I gave you, you'll see that in this location, the village of New Lenox, and this is at the lower left-hand side of that paper, has in its comprehensive plan of 2009 future land use, designated this for industrial use. And literally, you'll be able to see when you compare the Joliet South comprehensive plan to this, it literally fits together like a puzzle. And so this tract, this 101 acre tract, essentially is surrounded by industrial proposed uses. And so it's consistent, this use, this proposed use is consistent with what both municipalities have determined is the appropriate use of this property. A couple other things. We've done traffic studies on this, and the traffic studies will reflect what our engineer KLOA has determined is the appropriate use of transportation and road systems for the area. And as you'll see, the proposal calls for traffic to leave the property, to head east on Spencer Road to Gauger Road north to Route 30, and then Route 30 east to I-80. And essentially, the city of Joliet has a copy of that study as part of our submittal. Finally, a couple things. We've talked to the people in the area who want to work in this area. We've talked to people who are in labor, and Exeter is committed to using union labor on this project. Exeter is also wants other entities to have the opportunity to work on this project, and so it's committed to give opportunities to local contractors to participate in this project. It's in conformance with your comprehensive plan. It's in conformance with the existing uses in this area, and we'd ask you to recommend approval of the zoning, the annexation, and the preliminary plat to the City Council. We're prepared to answer your questions, Chairman Kelly.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have one question.
Sure.
You said all the truck traffic from here, from this warehouse is gonna go east on Spencer Road?
Yes.
To Gauger?
So, as you will see on this plat that we've given you, it will exit right here. It will go east down Spencer Road to Gauger Road.
Okay.
Gauger Road north to 30, and 30 over to Interstate 80.
Now, is this going to be the only exit for the warehouse trucks to get out?
There are two that are shown on the plat, and they're both on Spencer Road.
They're both on Spencer Road?
Yes.
Okay, now, are there any guarantees that the truckers will abide by this truck path?
To the extent that we sign it and, we notify truckers that this is the route we want them to take. The other component is that obviously there are weight limitations on Spencer Road that are west of this location that would be prohibitive for them to travel it.
Okay, so the weight restrictions are lighter on West Spencer Road?
Correct. It's when we talk about west, we're talking about west of Cherry Hill Road.
Right, exactly. Okay. Okay. Is there going to be any, how about to come in, when these trucks are going to come in off of 80, are they going to travel the same route? Same route, Gauger to Spencer?
Yes.
And so actually they'll be coming in the back end of the project, Spencer Road, right? They'll be coming in the back.
They'll be coming on Spencer Road.
Oh, right on Spencer Road, okay. Oh, okay, I got you. I was a little bit screwed up, okay. Okay, now on the corner of Spencer and Cherry Hill Road,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Catty corner from Union School, I noticed that intersection is quite narrow. Are there going to be any improvements made to that
It's
intersection?
been fully studied, and
To
our
widen that up?
traffic engineer is here to talk to you about that, Commissioner Orlando, but that intersection is suitable for the purposes that this property will be used for. So
The way
there's
it
no
sits now?
improvements that are proposed.
The way this is now would be
Right.
suitable? Kind of tight there now as it is, isn't it?
Not according to our traffic study.
Okay, well, I'll have to ask him that question then, right?
Fine. Eric?
Good afternoon, Eric Russell. I'm principal of KLOA, and we authored the traffic study. That intersection functions well for auto traffic that's going through it today. And any auto traffic that will go through it in the future from employees of the industrial project, the trucks are going to head east, as we talked about, on Spencer to Gauger. They won't be traveling through that intersection. So that intersection, which is currently under stop sign control, will continue to function well. Now, Spencer is going to be rebuilt to accommodate the truck traffic that will enter this property. So there will be some improvement on the east leg of that intersection, the east leg of Spencer.
On the east side of Spencer?
Yeah, right, at that intersection, to accommodate the trucks that will use Spencer Road to access the property.
Now, the east side of Spencer Road, is that, that would be, is that a county road, or would that be handled by the New Lenox Township Road?
Spencer Road is currently a City of Joliet road from Cherry Hill east to the property line. And from the property line further east to Gauger, it's under New Lenox Township.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about east of Cherry Hill Road. That would be New Lenox Township, right? And
right now, it's under the jurisdiction of the City of Joliet along the property frontage. As you go east of the property frontage to Gauger, that section of Spencer is under New Lenox Township jurisdiction. So the section of Spencer between Cherry Hill and Gauger is actually under the jurisdiction of two different agencies.
Okay.
One City of Joliet, one New Lenox Township.
On your survey, is Gauger Road amenable to all this?
I'm sorry, is Gauger Road?
Gauger Road, is that amenable to all the traffic that will be?
Yes, and it is a county roadway and has been built to accommodate trucks.
what's the weight restriction, or the weight limit on Spencer and Gauger Road?
Well, currently, the weight limit on Spencer is 14 tons, which is not adequate to accommodate heavy truck traffic on a regular basis, which is why it is planned to be rebuilt. Gauger is built to accommodate trucks, 80,000-pound trucks.
Already, okay.
All set? Any other questions?
I do. My question's, I think, related more towards Mr. Mahoney.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes, sir. Has the developer, in addition to what they've allocated thus far in terms of funding for that intersection in question near Union School, are there any set-aside funds, Mr. Mahoney, that the developer has discussed or brought up?
I'm not aware of any.
For potential improvements? The reason why I ask is that it sounds like a really solid data study, right, with regards to traffic. I'm just thinking of the future and with potential challenges with the traffic and the safety of the school.
I'm not aware of any, Mr. Broderick.
Okay. Would your developer consider?
I know there's going to be conversations with the city about
Sure.
annexing this property in the terms of the annexation agreement.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Please step up, give your name and address.
My name is Frank Sepon. I live at 1425 Spencer Road. That's an intersection of Spencer and Briggs. If you think the traffic engineer spent any time at that intersection, you'll see that most of the trucks that want to go to the warehouses, and that's like cold storage warehouse and all the rest, they come off 80 onto Briggs, turn onto Spencer, past the Union School, and then they go on Cherry Hill Road over to the warehouses they already built. Why would any trucker that would drive down Spencer Road, onto Gauger Road, onto Terry, go east on Terry to hit Interstate 80? That's about twice the distance that would be if he went west on Spencer to Briggs and on 80. The reason why I'm opposing this is the fact that Love's truck station is going to be right there at 80 and Briggs with 6,600 trucks per day, 2,400 cars, with a deficient bridge, and there's no money to do anything. They want to, the truck stop wants to make turning lanes so they would accommodate more trucks faster. However, there are 2 traffic lights, maybe 300 feet apart. That takes 1 semi and it blocks all the rest of the traffic. So what about Lincoln Way High School West? That's right on Spencer Road and Gauger. So's Union. So I know this is an area that's going to be developed, but it doesn't take trucks. Where will the people of Joliet community live? There are no residential subdivision built on the east side. They're going to have to travel to the west side and other communities on the outskirts. And what do we end up with? When you consider this proposal, be an open mind that east side is not a dead city. People live there, and I thank you for your consideration.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello again, Margie Seapon, 1114 Wood Iris Drive. I do understand that you're saying now that the trucks would travel east onto Gauger. What can be done to actually prevent trucks from traveling west on Spencer to Briggs Street? I understand that you had mentioned that that you will be telling the truck drivers, but our experience in that area is the shortest possible route to I-80. And there's tremendous amount of truck traffic coming west on Spencer Road and then heading north on Briggs Street to catch I-80. Thank you.
Would this be a good time to respond?
Yes.
Okay. In a sense, the truck movements are going to be self-regulating. As she had mentioned, there's a weight limit restriction currently on the bridge at Briggs Street. So until that bridge is rebuilt, the trucks can't cross over the bridge to head westbound on I-80 without causing further deterioration. And there's posted weight limit restrictions on there. Also, there's weight limit restrictions on Spencer Road to the west of the project, like we talked about. That also is a form of self-regulation. Now, what we can do on the property is we can educate the truck drivers on the proper routing to get to the interstate. There can be signage posted requiring trucks to make a right turn out of the project to head east on Spencer Road. So there's measures internal that we're discussing to make sure that the truck drivers follow the recommended routing. It's also incumbent upon the developer to ensure that the trucks follow this routing. You know, we can't speak to the trucks that are currently using Spencer Road from the west and heading up to the business park. Maybe those truckers are not receiving the same type of notification or education that the drivers for this property would. But for these particular property owners, we want to make sure that there's no liability, impacts on the road system, damage to roadways caused by trucks to this project. So it would be incumbent on them to educate the drivers and to provide the proper notification at the driveway entrances to force trucks to and from the east on Spencer.
Can you set up your exits when they leave the property so that they can only go eastbound?
That's something that's not set up today. There's 2 entryways into the property, and both are intended to accommodate both truck and auto traffic. So right now, there is no restrictions. That was something, we would have to discuss that internally because it could affect the operation of the site. Those driveways are both important for truck traffic to get to the 2 different buildings.
Well, in the plans that the Loves thing did it, they had the exit set so
Sure.
that they cannot go back, you know. That might behoove you to think about something like that.
Sure.
I have a question too for you. Have you had any communications with the township highway commissioners like Joliet Township or New Lenox Township for weight restrictions on the roads?
Yes. With New Lenox Township.
In fact, we have, and we've had conversations with the New Lenox Township Highway Commissioner, which basically is the easterly property line of this property east along Spencer to Gauger. So we've talked about the use of the road, the structural integrity of the road, and other things relating to it, Commissioner Rondo.
Okay, how about Joliet Township, which would be, he would be the commissioner on the west side of Cherry Hill Road, right?
Yeah, we have, I'm not aware, we've talked to Joliet Township because the plan is not to have the trucks utilize that route, sir.
Right, but my question is that if you have communication with the Joliet Township Highway Commissioner to post signs that his road would be a lower weight restriction, so that way it would deter the truck driver from going down Spencer Road.
We can certainly contact the commissioner.
That would okay, that would probably help. Now, another thing too is how many trailer stalls are going to be on this project?
I don't think we have a number yet. You know, that's a firm number.
You don't have a number yet?
I don't think so.
Well, you know how big it's going to be, right?
We have an estimate, 351
So you have 351 trailer stalls.
truck stalls, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the trailer goes in there, okay. That's a projected estimate, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what type of warehouse is this gonna be? Is there, they probably just are gonna build a warehouse and then get
Yeah.
a leasing company?
Yes, it will.
To lease it out?
Yes.
So you don't know what type of materials
Cannot
they'll
tell
be
you,
handling?
don't know. It's literally kind of the same thing, Commissioner Orlando, as I understand the one that's being built now in the Cherry Hill Business Park. That's a spec building.
Okay, same thing. Okay, well, if you can make some kind of accommodations, we'd appreciate it with the highway commissioners.
Thank you, I think that's a good
okay?
suggestion.
And then get some weight restriction signs put up to kind of alleviate maybe some future problems. I would think that would help.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments from the audience? Please come on up and give your name and address.
How do you do? My name's Steve Matter. I live at 1360 New Lenox Road in Joliet. One of the things they're talking about, all this truck traffic again, it goes back to, I drove a truck for 28 years. I'm a retired Teamster. When you put rate restrictions out there, they don't mean anything in our area. And I say that every day. When I live on New Lenox Road, we got a 12-ton weight limit there. Every morning at 7:10, I watch Walmart's truck come down our road. I watch every kind of truck under the sun come down my road. So those signs ain't gonna mean anything. Truck drivers take the path of least resistance. They get paid by the mile, they get paid by probably not the hour. These are over the road guys. So now you're saying you're gonna force them to go all the way to New Lenox. You ever been on 80 when it's backed up way past New Lenox Road? Now you're gonna back it up even further up the section. When is it gonna end with the traffic? When is it gonna be responsible that the city says, let's fix the roads first before we start doing this again? You know, it's terrible where we live. We got trucks coming ever since that new one just came in. We got 40 trucks a day going, or I think an hour one guy counted, coming down that road that we didn't have the other day. And they're going over that bridge that you're talking about that everybody said was such a great bridge. What has to happen? The bridge fall down, somebody die? I mean, when's it gonna end? We gotta get the infrastructure built before we do it. Nobody's against progress, but people are tired of the safety issues. It seems like Joliet is taking a blind eye to all of us. They don't care. They just said, if you get squashed, you get squashed. I was out yesterday and watched an elderly woman right in front of me. She got her car hit by a semi. Took the mirror off. The guy wanted to take off without not even stop and help her. Finally, we got him stopped, and it took us 30 minutes to get the police over there just to deal with it. You know, it was an elderly lady. She's almost in tears. You know, when's it gonna end? How many people gotta get squashed out there? So, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, John, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question for, I believe his name's Eric from KLOA. Yes, sir. I probably need more of your expertise here. So you mentioned the word self-regulating. That gives me a little bit of heartburn, right? And I mean that with all sincerity, not being disrespectful at all. Are there any disincentives that we could put in place that would not necessarily alleviate or solve the traffic problem, but maybe reduce it to follow what Mr. Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Orlando said, whether it's an ingress or regress or some type of disincentive? I don't know if it's a fine. I don't know what that looks like. I look to you as the expert with maybe some of those recommendations.
The intent being to force truck traffic to the east and to prevent it from heading west.
Yes, with the intent that there would be a safer route and it would alleviate some of the potential safety concerns that have been expressed.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, yes is the answer.
Really, design issues are the best way to...
Design issues?
Design issues on the driveway. We can look at ways that possibly a semi-trailer would be restricted to make a right turn movement, but the movement would still be allowed for an automobile. I mean, they're much different vehicle paths that the wheels take. So we could look at some design type of regulation. The width of the roadway kind of would prohibit a truck from working around some type of design island of some sort without, crossing the road and going into the ditch on the other side. So it's something we can look at.
Right, I just want to make sure we're putting enough thoughtful controls in place to reduce the possibility for safety and traffic concerns that have been mentioned here today.
Mm-hmm.
So
that in combination with signage and education like we talked about.
Signage is good, but I think more that forced direction is probably the way that I would feel more comfortable with. So just a sense. But thank you for your insights.
Sure.
Thank you, Eric.
You bet.
All right, thank you. We have one more comment from Beck. Yes, come on up.
Hello, my name is Kaylee Matter. I live at 1316 New Lenox Road. I just want to remind you guys that there's a school right there. There's kids. Do you guys know the type of pollutants that are actually in the air when truck traffic is brought into an area? It's been known to give kids Alzheimer's. It's been known to give people cancer. There's people in this area, the east side people still live here. We're here. And I feel like you guys are just driving us out. I don't want to move from this area. I don't. I've lived here my entire life since I've been born. I'm 26 now. But I feel like where the east side is going, where you guys are approving these things, I just feel like you're not thinking about the people that do already live here. We've lived here before 80. I didn't because I wasn't as old, but there's people on the east side that have lived here before 80. I remember a time when we didn't have any of the warehouses. I would travel to New Lenox and it would just be cornfields and it'd be farms. I know development has to happen and I understand that. But when warehouse jobs come up, they pay you $13 an hour. Have you guys lived off $13 an hour before? Especially in this day and age? I try to, and I still live with my parents at 26 because I can't afford to live at a wage that's $13 an hour. And that's what warehouse jobs are. That if my partner in the crowd, he worked at Michael's and he got paid, I think 14 an hour, that's not a livable wage. And I'm really nervous, so I'm sorry. I just really want you guys to think about the people that live here. We do matter, and sometimes it feels like you guys are just plowing right through us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, that motion's in order for A-20-18 and P-11-18.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Orlando,
Aye.
Mr. Roosnellis,
Aye.
Mr. Broderick,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Fiding,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Kella.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next item on our agenda under public hearing is M-2-18, and that is the introduction of one-story house models for the Whisper Glen subdivision, which is Legacy Point Boulevard and Theodore Street. The current builder is Meadowbrook Builders, Unit 1. The original builder is Phoenix Developers. This is at Legacy Point Boulevard, south of Caton Farm Road, north of Theodore Street, east of County Line Road. Requested action in this matter is approval of 4 one-story models in the Whisper Glen Subdivision Unit 1. It's comprised of 96 acres, that's both Unit 1 and Unit 2. Existing land use is single-family homes and undeveloped land. The existing zoning is R2 single-family residential. Under site history, a preliminary plat of the 187-acre Drum Estate subdivision was approved in October 2004, and that was comprised of 542 lots. The original developer submitted a plan to develop the northern portion of the subdivision as Ashford Place subdivision and the southern half as Whisper Glen. In April of 2005, the city approved the recording plat of Whisper Glen Subdivision Unit 1 for 176 single-family residential lots. In December of 2005, the city approved the recording plat of Ashford Place Subdivision Unit 1 for 98 single-family residential lots. In May 2008, the city approved the recording plat for Ashford Place Unit 1A, and that comprised 13 lots. In December 2017, the city approved the revised preliminary plat for Ashford Place Unit 2 and Whisper Glen Unit 2 subdivisions for the future build-out of the remaining 241 single-family residential lots, of which 118 of these lots will be built in the Whisper Glen subdivision. Build-out has not started in Ashford Place or Whisper Glen Unit 2 subdivisions. Of the 176 single-family residential lots in Whisper Glen Unit 1, 68 lots remain vacant and are available for new homes. An additional 5 homes have been approved but not yet built. Under special information, Meadowbrook Builders is the current builder operating in Whisper Glen Unit 1, and they seek to introduce 4 one-story models, the Parkview, Mountain View, Lakeview, and Riverview, into their offerings for the subdivision. City ordinance requires the developer to seek additional approvals from the city should any substantial changes be requested for elevations, landscaping, and other matters in partially completed subdivisions. The introduction of one-story models into this subdivision constitutes a substantial change. The Plan Commission previously reviewed the one-story Parkview model during a study session in July. The Plan Commission also endorsed a tri-level model in 2008 during a study session. Model floor plans and elevations for the Whisper Glen subdivision were approved with the original Drum Estates preliminary plan submittal and further refined by the Ashford Place Subdivision Unit 1 recording plat and Whisper Glen Subdivision Unit 1 recording plat. House models approved with the Whisper Glen recording plat are attached or available in your packet. The following building requirements were part of these original approvals. Houses range in size from 1,550 square feet to 3,341 square feet. All roof pitches at least 612, with gables having 812 pitches. 25% of gross front elevations of not less than 50% of all houses comprised of brick or stone, and that is per the May 2004 brick ordinance, which was amended again in October 2006. Key lots, larger lots along Legacy Point Boulevard with living areas in excess of 2,300 square feet, 812 roof pitches on the main body of the house, minimum 50% front elevation comprised of brick or stone, rear elevations with a bump out, which is 2 feet deep or larger, and a minimum of 2 windows on the second floor area, rear elevation with shutters and grills on each. The one-story Parkview, Mountain View, Lakeview, and Riverview models offer 3 to 4 elevations each, and the master set of renderings is attached. Each elevation offers an option, varying levels of brick as well as a 3-car garage. Submitted elevations for the 4 models show that some of the elevations do not meet the minimum roof and gable pitch requirements of the original approvals for the subdivision. Staff suggests that approval of the Parkview, Mountain View, Lakeview, and Riverview models be conditioned on the builder amending the proposed elevations to comply with the required roof pitches of the original approvals for the subdivision, which required all roofs to have at least a 612 pitch, with gables having 812 roof pitches. The condition would be that all elevations of the proposed Parkview, Mountain View, Lakeview, and Riverview models have roofs with at least a 612 pitch and gables with at least an 812 pitch, which is consistent with the original approvals for the subdivision. Mr. Chairman, I believe you were handed an addendum earlier regarding this request, and there is some new information. Planning staff has received complaints from residents in the Whisper Glen subdivision that Middlebrook Builders has not consulted their homeowners association about plans to introduce 4 one-story models into the Whisper Glen subdivision unit 1. Planning staff advised Meadowbrook Builders to meet with the homeowners association prior to the September 20th meeting. In an email back in August, planning staff has been informed that Meadowbrook Builders has yet to meet with the Whisper Glen Homeowners Association. Additional information regarding the development history of Whisper Glen subdivision has also been shared with staff. The president of Phoenix Builders, who was the first builder of Whisper Glen, confirmed that Phoenix Builders built all of their homes in Whisper Glen with at least partial brick or stone. At a minimum, all garages had brick or stone facades. Phoenix Builders chose to go beyond the city's minimum masonry requirements, which in 2004 required at least 50% of the homes to have at least 25% of the front facade comprised of brick or stone. Phoenix Builders also placed stone address blocks on the front facades. To date, 70 of the 72 completed homes in the Whisper Glen subdivision have at least partial brick as well as stone address blocks. The 2 homes without any brick were built in the last year by Meadowbrook Builders. Of the 176 single-family residential lots in Whisper Glen Unit 1, 71 lots have been built with 2-story single-family homes and 1 lot with a tri-level single-family home. 4 additional lots have been permitted for 2-story single-family homes that are in various stages of completion. 68 lots remain vacant and are available for new homes. I believe there was a map that highlighted the vacant lots made available. Given this new information, planning staff would suggest that the Plan Commission impose the following conditions in order to be consistent with what was originally required and or built in the subdivision should the Plan Commission desire to recommend approval of this request. Number 1, that all elevations of the proposed Parkview, Mountain View, Lakeview, and Riverview homes shall have roofs with at least a 612 pitch and gables with at least an 812 pitch, which again would be consistent with the original approvals for the subdivision. Number 2, that at least 25% of the gross front elevations shall be comprised of brick or stone. Number 3, that all house models include a stone address block on the front facade. And finally, that no more than 1/4 of the remaining lots in Whisper Glen Unit 1 can have one-story models. That concludes the staff report as well as the addendum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May I have the petitioner on this, please?
Good afternoon, Aladdin Nassar with Meadowbrook Builders.
Okay. And all these, you have not met with the residents yet?
No, I was out of the country for all of August and just returned back. I'm the owner of the company, and we've had some turnover in staff in the office. We just haven't had an opportunity yet to set up that meeting. So it is on our agenda. It's on our, we're planning on doing it. We just haven't had an opportunity yet to do that. As for a couple of the staff comments, I thought we revised the plans and resubmitted them as far as the roof pitches for 612 and 812 requirement that was brought up at the last study session. If not, we have no problem complying with that, that suggestion. Can you explain exactly the brick recommendation? I missed what you were...
Yes, so the brick condition would be that at least 25% of the gross front elevations shall be comprised of brick or stone.
Okay. Yeah, we're agreeable to that as well.
And also that all house models include a stone address block on the front facade.
A lot of times when there's 25% or 30% or so, like we do a 3-foot wainscot along the front elevation, normally that's too low to place the masonry address block. So I'll have to drive through and see in the conditions where that's fine, but we'll come up with something. But it may end up being lower than what's typically the address block is about 5 foot in height. Where if you don't have brick going up to 5 feet, I don't know how you would place a masonry address block at that height, basically. So that's the one thing I would look into just to see how we could accommodate that request. But I'm agreeable to the other requests. And then the last item you said was to, despite the annexation agreement saying 75% of the homes have 50% of the brick or something, to change it to all homes have 25% gross coverage?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Kendall, you want to respond? Or...
I'm sorry, you said the annexation agreement states...
Yeah, so again, when we go into a new subdivision, we never try to build below the standards of what was there. We don't go for any exceptions from that. And in fact, several of the homes we've built have been far exceeding the minimum standards with complete, front elevation brick and well exceeding the minimums set out. So we weren't aware that there was an issue with the 2 homes that were built with no masonry. They were complying to the letter of the law. If the desire is to have all of them with 25%, we're amenable to that.
Yeah, I think what we've been able to discover is that the original builder went beyond the city's requirement and included masonry on just about everything. And so going forward, our recommendation would be that at least 25% of the gross front elevation of everything you do would have masonry.
Yeah, that's agreeable. That's
Just so I understand, there's percentages being thrown around, so I just want to make sure I'm following everybody here. So when I went out to the subdivision, I looked at the homes there, sir, and yes, there are 70 of 72 homes have that brick facing front, and there's 2 homes that I saw that don't have that. So my sense would be 100% of all existing and future homes have at a minimum 25% up to 50% of brick facing front. That would be one condition. The other condition is that with regards to the stone, to the stone address, I'm not a masonry guy, I don't pretend to be, but consistency is key with the subdivision. So we want to make sure, at least from my perspective, we have that consistency.
Sure.
And that would be a requirement, not a suggestion for you to review. And I think those were and I think you talked about the pitches of the 612s and the 812, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does the recommendations need to be codified at all?
No, I think you basically stated what the conditions, you've reaffirmed what the conditions are providing for, yes.
Yeah, we're in agreement with those. I'll take a ride through there tomorrow just to see how that condition was met with the masonry block. It's just not coming up in my memory of how it was accommodated, but I'm sure we can do that.
As a builder, you'll be able to drive by and it will stick out
yeah.
pretty clearly for you.
Sure. Yeah.
And also that last thing on the report about no more than 1/4 of the remaining lots can be 1 story.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're fine with that?
Yeah, that's no problem as well. Yeah.
Those will be more than like 2 stories.
2 story, yeah.
The majority of our buyer profile is looking for a 2-story home, but we have somewhere between 20 and 30% on average of older retirees or people with even actually younger families have started to opt more for a 1-story living, more convenient, less stairs, things like that. So, but yeah, we can definitely make sure the market would probably dictate that it wouldn't be 25%, more than 25% anyways, but we can constrict it to that. If there was more demand for 1-story homes, we just would stop selling them when it reached that level.
What's your timetable for contacting the homeowners association, talking to the people out there?
We can definitely get a letter out by next week and set a meeting date next week and notify all the all the existing residents of that, and probably give them 2 or 3 weeks notice of the meeting.
It's too late for those people to be here because this should have been done before this, and at least they will be able to make it to the council meeting and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we can
We can table this, can't we?
Second meeting
Waiting's on
in October.
Wait, because we could have the meeting before it goes to council, so that way when you go to council, everything is ironed out.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Can we do that too?
Yeah, so ordinarily this would go to the second council meeting in October. If you can have the meeting before then, that would be fine. If not, then we would hold off on putting it on the council agenda until they have the neighborhood meeting.
What days, do you know?
The second, October 16th.
Yes, it might be kind of tight, so you may have to push it to November, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we're not trying
If
to.
you're meeting with the residents and they're happy, then.
Sure.
Well, I know the residents are eager to meet with you, and what I'm hearing, you're eager to meet with them. So.
Sounds like there's a lot of them here, so we can meet after.
Yeah, so I
that's no
think,
problem.
in good faith, let's get the parties together
Yeah,
and get
absolutely.
some agreement.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have any comments from the homeowners as he's standing up there? If you come up, give your name and address, please.
Mr. Chairman, Plan Commission members, good afternoon. Jeff Sturr, 6612 Mountain Ridge Pass, Whisper Glen subdivision. I have with me 23 signed petitions from my neighbors opposing to petition M218. Again, absent any contact with the builder. I'm here to voice my opposition to the introduction of single-story homes into our subdivision. We have also prepared a presentation regarding our subdivision to highlight the blatant disregard for Whisper Glen residents this proposition brings. As you know from your information packets provided by Planning and Zoning, Whisper Glen was approved by the Plan Commission and by ordinances of the full City Council for larger 2-story single-family homes. One point of contention is whether brick elements are required on every property. The 8 model homes that were approved were all Series 2 and 3, and notes on the product lineup indicated that all homes must meet minimum brick requirements. Our contention was that this meant that all homes had, at a minimum, brick on at least 25% of the gross front elevation. And in fact, as you just heard, this was also told to each owner when deciding on the options for the construction of their residence. We had to have brick. Now, as you will see by the slides, out of approximately 70 homes built prior to this builder, 100% of them had a minimum of 25% brick on the front elevation. Many of us desired this subdivision based on the developer, the models provided, and the higher property values that come with the construction materials that make up our homes. All homes not only had brick elements, but a house number block that was inset into the brick. Also, all front-facing windows had grills. These features have been inconsistently applied by the current builder, Meadowbrook Builders. Again, something we believe is a blatant disregard for our standards in our subdivision. As you can also see from this presentation, the smallest two-story home previously built is approximately 17,000 square feet. And according to the Will County Supervisor of Assessment's website, a majority of homes in Whisper Glen are well in excess of 2,000 square feet, and some of the largest are in excess of 3,000 square feet. Henry David Thoreau said, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." In other words, perception is everything. Builders often use brick because brick homes make a statement about their brand. They want the homes they build to demonstrate a level of quality craftsmanship that other types of cladding cannot achieve. As homeowners, we feel the same. Our property has a unique value and quality. We do not want those attributes diminished by smaller homes and at the least an altered perception of a lesser value in our subdivision. We felt that our investments were protected by ordinance and were comforted by knowing that the goal of the Plan Commission as well as the City Council was to protect and enhance residential neighborhoods by encouraging physical development that is of high quality and is compatible with the character, scale, function, and value of its surrounding area. Going back on the implied promise to current residents of Whisper Glen would be a travesty. As you can see from these slides, this house here has the brick elements, but no address block. Similar models in the subdivision had no trouble locating that block. This model has no brick element, although it does have a brick ledge installed, and obviously no house number block set in brick. However, although the home is now ready for final inspection and all landscaping has been installed, the styrofoam on the brick ledge is still present. This property has no window grills, no brick element, and obviously no house number block set in brick, but there are 2 sets of house numbers. This is a trench that was left open for approximately 1 week, and it was open to within 1 foot of the curb. We complained to the city regarding the open trench, but it still cannot be rectified in a timely manner. As there are many children that play in the area, we feel it's a safety hazard, and again, it's a blatant disregard for the residents of Whisper Glen. Now, building across the street, a couple of weeks later, the builder did nearly the same thing. He left this trench open for nearly a week, but he did put up caution tape as a warning. Again, leaving an attractive nuisance open to any inquisitive child. We have many complaints throughout the subdivision of construction debris about the property and even a portage on the sidewalk. This portage was on the sidewalk for 3.5 weeks. Vacant lots used as dumping grounds for the builders. First it was a pile of mulch, then concrete debris, then a pallet, then more construction debris, and then more pallets. We complained to the city and the owner's been given a notice of violation. But as you can see with all these instances, there's a blatant disregard for the residents of Whisper Glen. The gravel, yard waste, and other debris will remain an eyesore until that particular lot is developed. This home here was completed in December, but not landscaped till the middle of July, and that was after the city intervened. This property, we believe, sticks out like a sore thumb. Houses in every direction on both sides of the street all have brick except this one, although this does have a brick ledge. And here's the builder's webpage for Whisper Glen. We missed one slide that was just before that. These are the houses that he's advertising for the webpage. None of these are part of it. And Jim, can you back up 2 slides, please? One before that. That's all I get? Well, we'll say this. If you want to do the Meadowbrook Homes website for Whisper Glen, it advertises that Whisper Glen is in beautiful Plainfield, Illinois. It also advertises that you can use the acclaimed Minooka schools. Well, we all know, the builder knows, and you all know, Whisper Glen's in Joliet, Illinois. Again, it's a blatant disregard for our standards, our way of living, and our neighborhood. So in conclusion, when it comes up, we have urged the commission to deny the petition regarding the introduction of one-story models in the Whisper Glen subdivision. We feel that Meadowbrook Builders shows a blatant disregard for neighborhood standards, a blatant disregard for the residents of Whisper Glen, a blatant disregard for property values in Whisper Glen, and we desire that the current standards as we describe them today be codified to eliminate any misunderstanding. I thank you for your time.
Any other comments?
My name is Julie Sturr. I live at 6612 Mountain Ridge Pass in Plainfield mailing address, but Joliet, Illinois. My concern with even introducing the 25% is if you'll look at your plat to show you where the empty lots are, they're all in big areas. So of the 68, if you build them, you're still going to have blocks of two-story houses, and then you're going to have a bunch of smaller single-family homes altogether. It affects the look and the feel of the entire subdivision. You know, when we looked to build, we thought about a one-story home, and they did not build them in this subdivision. And we built a two-story because we liked this subdivision. We liked the feel of the subdivision, and I and my neighbors object to the one-story homes because it changes the entire character of the neighborhood.
My name's Heather Cosbeal. I live at 1619 Stanton Lane. I am also a resident here. We moved to Whisper Glen in 2011 as a purchase for our forever and final home. When we purchased, we had a previous builder that went under, and went under shortly after we purchased our home, which was unfortunate. Our house is surrounded by 4 empty lots. And when we originally purchased, we purchased, like Julie said, for the feel, the look. It's a rich community. It looks wonderful. The houses are beautiful. The brick is gorgeous. We knew we were gonna have great neighbors because of the standard that was set. If the one-story houses do go through, they're gonna be by me. They're gonna be the 2 houses next to me, the 2 houses across the street from me. And I don't know if cheapen is the correct word, but I do feel like the current plans do cheapen the look of our neighborhood. And I don't want my house to be the one that's stuck in the middle of all of it. So, thank you.
My name is Jennifer Denny. I live at 6711 Whisper Glen Drive. I used to live in Westmere, and I had a tiny little ranch home, and I would drive past Whisper Glen all the time because I wanted to live there. That was my dream, to have one of those beautiful homes. And I was able to buy one of the model homes and have my dream home. And now that I hear they're building houses kind of like Westmere, it really disheartens me to know that, you know, our property values could go down from it, and just a cheap look of ranch homes with no brick facade. I prefer not even to see ranch homes anywhere in that subdivision, period. You know, I moved there to get my dream home, and I was expecting the rest of the lots would be built up to the standards of the houses of the original builder of Phoenix Developers. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more comments? Oh. Come on up, give your name and address, please.
My name is Lizette Buckley. I live at 1614 Wyndham Court in Whisper Glen. I would like to say I oppose the one-story housing. I moved there and bought there. I had opportunity to buy other places, but I enjoy that area. I like the look of the area. I like the look of the two-story houses, and I really oppose the one-story house. I do not like it, and especially where they are trying to put it on Theodore and Whisper Glen. That's the entrance, the very entrance. They are talking about putting those homes, and it just seems as if it would depreciate where we live. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Would you step up to the microphone, ma'am?
The current model that's going up at the entrance of our subdivision, is that a two-story house planned right now? And is that awful, awful trailer coming down? It is. What was the point of that trailer? No, that new one, that new model going in is a two-story? And then the trailer is being demolished and getting rid of next month. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Melissa Holliger, 6613 Wyndham Court, Whisper Glen. I found out about this meeting via a Facebook webpage, so that wasn't too fun to find out. I do oppose the ranch homes. It needs to have brick. I don't know where you're planning on putting a ranch home on those small lots. I don't see it. I encourage you guys to drive by, look for yourselves. There's no space for it. It's gonna look crappy. We need brick and we need two-story. And like everybody else here has said, we're paying a hell of a lot of money for property taxes, $7,500 plus this year for me. I want it exactly how we all thought it was going to be. Just like we bought with Phoenix, board-on-board gate, keep your shed 3 feet away, follow all the rules, blah, blah, blah. It needs to happen. It needs to be two-story brick. Thank you.
Hello, Lucas Schultz, 6617 Whisper Glen. I'm actually one of the newer residents. I purchased a house from Meadowbrook about 5 months ago. I put a lot of thought to where we're gonna build, and one of the pre-requirements was to have a two-story homes in the whole subdivision. At what time I was told that that was a requirement. You cannot build a ranch home by the same builder. And further, I'll question the integrity of the builder where certain promises have never been made. My house sat without a driveway for 4 months. There were safety concerns, and similar to the experience we've had, there's lack of cooperation. So I'll just ask that you guys take into consideration that this has to be documented and this has to be denied and it has to be handled appropriate way. Again, we have received notifications through Facebook because somebody heard about it in an unofficial way. So again, I'll just question integrity in the communication. I'll ask that personally when I was making my decision, but the same person, not directly by Mr. Aladdin, I was told that, hey, if you build a house here, it holds certain quality. It's a premier subdivision when you compare it to other lots that we have. Hence, you pay the premium by going to Whisper Glen as opposed to Manuka or other subdivisions. So thank you for your time. I hope you make the right decisions and you listen to your constituents because we do pay a lot of taxes. And bottom line, we want to be happy and want to just get what we paid for.
Who told you that they would be two-story houses?
The entire sales team. It was not an option, and I was told that that's not going to be the type of subdivision. We drove through it, and we're specifically told you have to select the brick, you have to select the better elevation, because some of our elevations could not be applied to that subdivision. And you can go back to the records, what was offered back in March and back in last year, and I hope you confirm that that was not an option to select elevation without a brick. So I'm not sure what's driving that kind of decision-making, whether it's a lower margins, lower sales, but quite frankly, that was not an option when I was purchasing my house. So I kind of feel it was bait and switch, where I was supposed to pay more, upward of $400,000 for a house that has over 3,000 square feet, and right now there is a house being offered at 2-bedroom for 1,500 square feet at more than less than half the price. So bait and switch at its finest.
I have a question for you also. Were you ever presented, or did you ever ask for a covenant of the rules for the subdivision?
Absolutely, that was the brick component required.
I mean, did they give you a covenant of it?
Yes.
A written out
Yes,
form?
yes, I did receive subdivision.
Okay. And it's stated in there that all homes there will be two-story brick, right?
I believe so, yes. I'll have to go back to my records, but yes.
Okay.
I mean, that
Well,
was the
maybe
requirement.
ask the builder.
I have the covenant on here.
You have a covenant?
Sure do.
Yeah, and I would actually appreciate if you can call me back, because you guys still owe me money, and it's been very painful to get a hold of you. So thank you.
The first letter.
Seems more efficient than you. Sorry for the
Do you have a list of covenants?
The only covenants we've ever received or ever given out are the covenants that are on record with the city of Joliet, which have the requirements that we followed of the 25%, I think, or 75% of the homes with 25% of the brick. So, I mean, let me just back up and say a couple things. I've never, ever had opposition to one-story homes in any of the subdivisions we've ever built. Seeing such strong opposition, I'm going to go ahead and withdraw it, the whole petition, because it's really not worth the heartache. A couple things. I have 4 closings tomorrow, just to give everybody some perspective. 2 of them are ranches in different subdivisions, and 2 of them are 2-story homes. The 2 ranches, one of them sales price is $395 or something, and the other one's $360 something. And the 2-story homes, which are 2,500 square feet, are right around $300,000. So ranch homes in general, they're more expensive to build. They're more expensive, obviously, then to have a more expensive sale price. And again, the demand is there from people. It's not worth the fight though. And if so many people feel so strongly about it, and again, shame on me for a lot of things this year. I'll be the first to say we maybe grew a little bit too quickly. We were a 1 subdivision builder. We currently are operating in 4, kind of a 5th subdivision. We have some lots in, and this year kind of got away from me. Like I said, we didn't do the proper introduction even before this whole 1-story plan debacle. You can be assured if I ever buy a subdivision again that's partially complete, I'm going to have a meeting before we ever build the first house, because I just didn't know all the issues that people are having and all the resentment and kind of frustration. But again, I'll take full responsibility for a lot of stuff, and I'd like to meet with Mr. Lucas and see what promises weren't kept or what issues weren't addressed. Yeah. By no means are we perfect, but we by no means are trying to slide something in, under the cover of night or something like that. It's just a matter of we have 7 people on our staff, and we kind of grew a little bit too quickly. So I'll go ahead and formally withdraw the petition for the 1-story homes. If a third of the current residents signed the petition and are opposed to it, I'm not here to, be in an environment where it's adversarial from the jump. It's really not worth it. People want a ranch home. I've got 4 other subdivisions they can buy a ranch home, and that's easily solved. So I guess with that being said, we'll just roll back to the covenants that are in place, and we'll only build 2-story homes. And I'll even go further and say, even though the covenants don't require it, we'll go ahead and include brick, 25% brick on all of the homes that we do build. Voluntarily, not even as a requirement, because we're not looking to to change the annexation agreement any longer. So to all of you guys, I apologize. Like I said, I'll take full responsibility. We weren't communicating as well as we should have. I got all this gray hair probably in the last 12 months just because there were opportunities presented to us for subdivisions, which we acted upon. And now I was telling my operations manager yesterday, I said, if I knew then what I knew now, I'd be happy with my 2 subdivisions in Yorkville and Minooka and my black hair. So again, it's nice to meet you all. I'm here to talk after the meeting. Anything you guys have, any specific issues, I'll give you guys my direct email as well. And we definitely need to figure out what you're talking about, because that's not okay. And so I guess that'll solve that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So do we need any type of vote on this, or?
it's a formal withdrawal, so there's no vote required.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me, Kendall, are all the residents happy with this, or do you have any other objections, or no? Okay.
Can't hear you, ma'am.
There's no matter pending before this commission.
But you can take that.
I'm an avid gardener, and I know that they planted those new bushes there by the trailer, and you're gonna tear it down in a month. Would
Yeah, let's
the
go ahead and
residents
have
be
this as a
able to,
side
if they want a bush or
conversation.
two, be able to dig them up and
Yeah,
grab
let's,
them?
you know, it's not part of the.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
yeah, we'll talk later. Yeah.
You can take it, you can have your conversations.
My name's Rick Hoy, 6621 Wyndham Court. I just had a question on the builder. So how are we gonna know it's enforced that he puts brick on 25% and it's a 2-story? I mean, what if something, just like these other two homes that don't have it, what's gonna happen with those two? They're just gonna leave them as is, that's it? Are they gonna get fined, anything like that? I mean, how does that work?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, if I could make a suggestion, and that is that you definitely meet and amend the covenants to incorporate the 100%, 25% rule and the 2-story requirement. That's how you codify it. That's how you get it in writing. I do believe that most covenants have rules, though, as it pertains to changing or amending them. And there may be a vote requirement of all existing residents in the subdivision. So someone will need to get an attorney involved to look at those covenants to figure out how they can be amended. But that's the way you do it.
Last thing about amending the covenants, I believe it's 1 vote per lot owner, and we're buying those lots in a staged takedown. We write them a check for all 70 or 80 lots at the beginning. So each resident has a vote, and then if there's a lot owner who owns 50 lots, for instance, like the entity I'm purchasing from does, they'll have 50 votes. So like I said, I'm fine. I'm going to vote with you guys for my lots. We'll put that, we'll codify it in the covenants, but the developer, or the owner, I should say, the current owner of the other lots that I haven't purchased to date, has a vote, and they may say, hey, it doesn't make sense to enforce a more strict covenant. You know what I mean? So I'm just letting you guys, so you're aware of the whole situation. I'm not the owner. There are a few different entity names. I deal with Turnstone Group, but I think it's REO Solutions Fund 4, blah, blah. It's like a long name. So it's a hedge fund out of Atlanta or something like that. But I'm just getting you guys aware so I don't take the bullets next time that you're getting my votes with you on the amendment of the covenants. It's fine. But I don't own all the lots, and I definitely don't own phase 2 either, which I don't know. Sometimes phase 2 also has a weight in the association, depending on how the association was set up. So those are things we can iron out, but we can address any other issues.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is new business, no public hearing. We have no items. We have no items under study session. We have no items under old or new business, not for final action or recommendation. The next item would be public comments. Are there any public comments at this point?
No? All right.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, Ricky, will you give me a ride home? Yep.